Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Crypto Scoop FM. I'm your host DJ RSC, and in today's video, we're going to talk about everything prediction markets. And at the end of this video, if you wait and hold on long enough, I'm going to reveal 5 gems that I think are very interesting low cap or small cap plays in the prediction market space that could really go parabolic in the upcoming quote unquote bull cycle. With that, let's dive in. All right, so if you're new here, I'm Rohit. I've been working in crypto for the last 4.5 years. During this period, I've worked with companies like Polygon Labs, Socket Protocol, and Long Hash Ventures. This time was extremely interesting for me because, as an insider, I got this opportunity to have the front row seat to observe all of the innovations that's happening in the space. I actually joined this industry in the my first cycle was 2021. So I joined right at the peak of the NFT mania. And since then I've been here because I just fell in love with all the energy of the space. Of course, a lot of crap happens in this space, but as investors, as participants, as operators, I always like to look at the good things, and I think a lot of good things have also happened with in the world with crypto. All right, so now that the intro is out of the way, I also want to say that nothing that I cover in this video is financial advice, life advice, or legal advice. So if you're going to make a financial decision based on this video, it's all on you. I'm just a guy sitting in a room making YouTube videos. All right, guys. So with that out of the way, I want to start with something very interesting, right? So I did some research on, how folks on CT are looking at the prediction market space. And here is a tweet from Victor DeFi, and he says that. I asked ChatGPT what industries and market segments investors are backing the most lately, right? And prediction markets are on this list. If you look at the sixth entry on this table, you will see prediction and defense tech, with prediction markets being there, right? So clearly, it's a rage in 2025, especially amongst venture capitalists. Moving on, I found this tweet which I found very very interesting from Satvik, and he outlines that prediction markets are the new L2s. Everyone will rush to launch one. Every VC will fund one. The narrative will become the meta, and next year no one will give an F about it, while the same VCs will start whining about no real innovation and adoption. And this tweet is actually extremely true because as I move deeper into this video, you will know exactly why, right? Okay, here's another post from Imran Khan, who is the founder of Alliance DAO. For those of you who don't know what Alliance is one of the premier crypto native angel. I'm sorry, not an angel, actually an accelerator, which invests and backs early stage crypto native teams, mostly at the pre-stage and accelerator stage. So kind of like a Y Combinator for crypto, right? And he says that the sentiment around prediction markets on Twitter aligns with what we are seeing in the Alliance application pipeline. There is still a large surface area of niches and unexplored verticals waiting to be built. So 6 startups in our current batch are building market specific prediction markets, and over 100 applicants within the broader ecosystem. The open question is whether incumbents like Kalshi and Polymarket will dominate, or whether they will partner with startups to grow an ecosystem similar to Hyperliquid. I bet the most exciting outcome for upcoming prediction market founders is to give both incumbents a run for their money. But who knows? Interesting tweet. It also outlines the fact that we are seeing an explosion, a Cambrian explosion in the number of projects that are both applying to crypto native accelerators like Alliance. But not just that, this insight that the market is expanding beyond these general purpose prediction markets like Polymarket and Kalshi, which focus on sports, elections, predicting the climate, predicting economic statistics, or anything else, right, in the entertainment space. And we look at that as well. But But clearly, these niches, sub-markets, are they big enough is the question. Would these startups be able to create sizable revenue out of that? That's still an open question, right? Something to think about. Now, next, this tweet was very interesting, and I know Taylor Swift was probably in the news earlier today for her. You know, for I'm sorry, for her engagement, right? And so here is another Polymarket going on right now, which is Taylor Swift pregnant in 2025, and the poll is right now at giving an 18% odds, right? So the post made by Wale Mocha, who's the most respected, like KOLs in the space, and he says that sooner or later you realize that everything in crypto and beyond is dominated by insider trading. Everything. We saw it with NFTs in 21-22, artifact acquisition, a lot with meme coins in 2024, daily runners, the internet capital Meta, and it gets even crazier with the prediction market thing. Take Taylor Swift's pregnancy market. Her doctor's son's buddy from high school could make a fortune here. As a normal person, the odds are stacked against you. That doesn't mean you can't win, but the odds are worse than they seem because not everybody is operating on the same level of information. In other words, if you don't win, it's more than just a skill issue. Most of the time, the people who tell you that usually are insiders themselves, right? Are there no secrets, by the way? Everything leaks out at some point. Someone who knows something tells a friend and tells them not to tell anyone. The friend tells another friend, and on it goes. So basically, he's making this point that there is no market where insiders are not basically just ruling the roost. And this is a concerning activity because it just stacks the odd of a free market that we are trying to build on chain, and completely subverts the idea that you're entering the market in equal footing. I also, while I agree with Vale, I disagree if his conclusion with this, and I don't think he's making this conclusion, but if the conclusion is that you can't win in the market in the absence of information, I think he's wrong there because. And I've said this before in one of my videos where I was talking about my crypto market rulebook for this 2025 bull run. And if you haven't watched this video, I'll link it in the description below. But basically, I outline my rules of engagement, and one of them is that you don't need to predict what's going to happen next to make money in the market. Right? So I kind of disagree with his take. But having said that, it's very clear that people who do have an information advantage and insider knowledge will do definitely make money in this space, right? I won't deny that truth either. Okay, extending on to what Wale said, but on to a different topic around manipulation in prediction markets, right? So this is Omer Goldberg. He's the founder of Chaos Labs, and he was previously part of the engineering team at Instagram, and then moved on to Meta, when Instagram was acquired, and then worked on the Internet.org project. And he says that when the cost of corruption is lower than the payoff, then truth becomes a commodity auction to the highest bidder. And in this post, he basically outlines how UMA, which is the Oracle service, which Polymarket uses to resolve a bet. So I'll give you an example. Like imagine that there is a bet going on. Like in this case, the bet was that did Zelensky wear a suit in 2025, right? And so to the NATO summit that happened earlier this year. And so all of the major news destinations, CNN, they covered the NATO summit and described Zelensky's outfit as a suit in their reporting. The Guardian published articles noting Zelensky's formal attire as a suit. Same with Al Jazeera, reporting on the summit and referred to Zelensky's outfit as a suit. Right? Bloomberg described Zelensky's appearance in a suit. Sky News did that. Washington Post did that. So every major media company did that. But the oracles, right, they resolved that he was not wearing a suit, right? He was not wearing a suit. And so when this happened, most of the folks who bet yes should have actually won, but it was the people who bet no who won, because they were the ones who were controlling the oracle on the side of Oma and were able to resolve to a no because they control the majority voting power using the Oma token. So these are the kind of things which kind of quashes this idea that prediction markets are better indicators of truth than traditional media, because we can clearly see it from our eyes that he's wearing a suit, he's wearing a jacket and a shirt, and the what the funny part is, the designer who actually created this suit for Zelensky also came came on a media channel, if I remember correctly, and saying he was wearing a news. So this is not about Zelensky wearing or not wearing a suit. This is about oracle manipulation. The uncomfortable truth about human-controlled oracles is that humans are biased. Some of the biggest OMA holders were heavily positioned on a no. When yes looked like the correct outcome, they didn't accept the loss. They flipped the vote. Over 23 million UMA votes were cast, worth $25 million to dispute the result. This wasn't decentralization. It was whales protecting their bags, right? So you have folks with a lot of money who hold voting power by holding the UMA token, who basically vote to resolve discrepancies. And if they are the ones who are to benefit from a no vote, because the cost of corruption is lower than the reward that they keep as a result, obviously I'm going to choose the former, right? So that's one of the biggest concerns for me, because we keep saying like prediction markets, it's wisdom of the crowds, it's putting your money where your mouth is, and as a result you get better predictions. But hey, here we are. If everything in the system is working, then why the f are we depending on Oracle? Just doesn't make any sense to me. Anyhow, um, so this is just not it, guys. There's a lot of news around new protocols coming up and trying to raise more money. So this came on my feed earlier today. Tony Jemail, who is building the clearing company. By the way, his entire team is full of ex Polymarket folks, from his head of market to almost everybody else. Actually, let me show you, which was it was quite funny when I was reading through their website. So. Um, Tony is he's ex Polymarket Kalshi, so he's pretty much worked in both prediction markets. And you have Liam, who was the head of engineering at Polymarket. You have Nirayak Jain, who was the head of markets at Polymarket, who was the head of markets at Polymarket. Daniel from the engineering team, and Nick, all from Polymarket. So they've basically, you know. done a vampire attack on Polymarket and hired so many of their folks. So you can see that you have another project coming in the form of the clearing company. They don't have a token yet, of course, just like Polymarket and Kalshi, but you have competition coming in, right? Now, not just that, you also have new products which are coming in and getting funded from various VCs. Here is Gonda Finance, which is building the DeFi layer for prediction markets. Like, long story short, you can basically borrow against your Polymarket positions using Gonda, right? So, creating this DeFi layer will add leverage, will add probably perps in some stage. So, you're going to see the prediction market layer getting expanded by these DeFi use cases, these money Legos being built on top, which will add more leverage, more risk, but also higher return for folks who want that kind of giddy gaddy environment, for lack of a better phrase. Now, I actually wrote a detailed thread on Polymarket. I'm not gonna take you through the entirety of my thread, but I do want to highlight a few things, right? The first is, and by the way, guys, the thread will be linked at the bottom of this video. So if you want a detailed read on what a prediction market is, how it works, and all of the alpha around this emergent industry category, then I highly recommend that you take 15 minutes out and read this thread. You will get a lot of value. But any case, I just wanted to spend some time and quickly give you an overview. So first question, like, what the F is a prediction market, right? So in the most basic sense, a prediction market is basically a platform where a user bets on some future outcome, right? It could be on any market or any question. It could be in politics or elections, like who would become the president, Joe Biden or Donald Trump. or will Donald Trump be impeached in 2025, or who is going to be the presidential? Will JD Vance be the presidential candidate for 2028? These are the kind of questions that you bet on, and then there are odds. And if you win $1. If you don't, you lose. Simple as that. Right? So participants buy or sell shares or contracts, try to a yes or no. Now, the thing that I wanted to highlight here was, very very quickly around around Kalshi and Polymarket. Now, these are the two largest ones, and I'm not going to take you through, but I wanted to take you through some numbers, right? I looked at the four most important things that I think are important from the sense of getting a fundamental understanding of how the prediction market game is going, and is this really a huge industry or a player in the making, right? And numbers do tell me that there's something interesting happening. So first, if you look at volume, guys, right, this is the total volume of bets that were placed in dollar terms on Polymarket and on Kalshi in 2024. So for Polymarket, $3.6 billion in 2024 election bets alone. The overall volume was, I think it's a lot higher. Cumulative volume all time on Polymarket is close to $13.6 billion. When I read that number for the first time, I was like, man, it was just an eye-opening moment for me, because when I was at Polygon, and Polymarket actually uses Polygon, I was hearing a lot of things about Polymarket, but I never really got a chance to interact with Shane Coplin or any of the Polymarket team members. But it's fantastic to see what they've built so far. In comparison, Kalshi did $1.97 billion in 24. Which is a fraction of Polymarket if you think about it, of which $500 million was from the elections market. So you can see that Polymarket has a humongous lead, a 7 times lead in terms of election related markets volume. Kalshi, on the other hand, kind of dominates the sports betting market. I'm going to talk about it very shortly, but you can already see Polymarket kind of doing really well. In terms of users, Polymarket has about 285,000 active wallets or users. In comparison, Kalshi also grew its user base by 5x, but they have not made the numbers public. Thanks to the blockchain, Polymarket for the win. In terms of fees, Polymarket does not charge any trading fees, but Kalshi does. Kalshi charges 0.07 to 7% in taker fee, right? This is basically taker are folks who are betting, and they have to pay this fee. And their estimated revenue in the last quarter of 2024 was $15 million. So again, Polymarket for the win here. Much cheaper experience for customers, for traders. And finally, transactions. Polymarket is currently averaging 150,000 daily transactions and peaked to 600,000 transactions in the December 2024 election fever between Biden and Trump. Kamala Harris and Trump, right? And Kalshi, on the other hand, they have not provided any data, but they have over 300 plus net new markets created, which does indicate that they have a lot of activity going on as well. Now, one thing recently that Kalshi has done is, because the primary difference between Kalshi and Polymarket is that Polymarket is predominantly crypto native, while Kalshi had a registered CFTC license to operate a betting platform in the US. So Polymarket, even though the founder was an American citizen, an American resident, could not offer his Polymarket betting services or platform to US citizens because he didn't hold a registered CFTC license. But I have news for you guys, because just in this past month, Kalshi has actually acquired this little company called QSNC. I hope I'm quoting them right, but let me see. I think it's called QSNC or something. And the purpose of this acquisition is because, and they spent $115 million to buy this. And the reason they did so is because it gives them access to. Sorry, I can't find it, but it gives them access to a CFTC license held by this company. And so now they can start to invest or take capital in from US investors as well, US users, US traders as well, which is quite cool if you think about it, because now they're all head to head. Another thing that you ought to know about this company is, is that they've recently, especially Kalshi, as I said, Kalshi was not a crypto native prediction market. Polymarket was. But to kind of even the odds, Kalshi has now hired John Wang. To give you a quick overview of John, John is very, very young. He's 23. He's a Gen Z. He dropped out studying finance and computer science at Wharton School, and he's a self-taught crypto influencer. He was the past president of the Penn blockchain, which was Wharton's student-led blockchain club. And his previous crypto stints include Armor Labs, where he was the founder and he was building a DeFi, tooling ecosystem, and later Immutable, which is a zero knowledge layer 2 on Ethereum, where he worked as a product leader, product manager, kind of defining the overall product landscape for Immutable. He is also a Paradigm Fellow, right? This is a Paradigm, for those of you who don't know, led the recent $185 million fundraise, valuing Kalshi at a whopping $2 billion. And guys, this announcement came right within a week of Polymarket announcing their own $200 million fundraise from Founders Fund, which is run by Peter Thiel, at a valuation of $1 billion. So Kalshi raised almost the same amount of money, but at twice the valuation. So you can already see the race is kind of heating up, and how much equity Polymarket had to give away to kind of just get themselves accepted in America, right? Whichever way you want to put this. But one thing that Polymarket has done recently is they've onboarded. This guy, Donald Trump Jr., and with Donald Trump Jr.'s arrival, I think the game has completely changed. And Trump Jr. actually made a very important point. He basically outlined his thesis for investing in Polymarket, where he said that it will be a credible alternative to outsmart spin, aka counteract or bypass the manipulation, quote unquote, of narrative by mainstream media companies, right? So they feel like this is this is somehow a better alternative to traditional news media. In fact, this is really the thesis that a lot of investors have also outlined, like both Dragonfly or Founders Fund or a Paradigm as well. So it's interesting to see, but we've already seen how manipulation occurs in this market. We've seen the Oracle didn't resolve. We know there are insiders as well. So is it really a better version of truth, or is it more of more of the same thing, where markets are manipulated by insiders who have an edge to information? And this is exactly the paradox that prediction markets are providing in front of us. But to be very, very frank, I think for a large majority of use cases, like predicting the weather, nobody knows. Or predicting the price of Bitcoin next, nobody knows. Predicting what the GDP of America is going to be next, nobody knows. So these are things which I think prediction markets would be great at, much better than any survey of analysts. But what they're going to be bad at are these asymmetric outcomes, like will Zelensky wear a suit? Now, whom do you trust as the final body who decides this? If this is going to be UMA stakers who control the entire protocol and can resolve to a no, when in fact it's a resounding yes, is a cause of concern, right? Okay, now I want to quickly move ahead, and I'm not going to go through these threads, but this one by Mikey I quite liked. He outlined the entire thesis of prediction markets, and the only two charts that I want to show you is this one. Like, first is you can basically break down prediction markets into two buckets. The first are sports related prediction markets, and the second one is non-sports related prediction markets. Now, sports is actually the main bread and butter for most prediction markets or betting platforms around the world, and so non-sports has been as well a small space, but Polymarket kind of dominates the non-sports volume. They did almost $700 million of volume in 2024 year to date. So it's kind of an older data because this was August 12, 2024. And in comparison, like if you include sports as well, then other competitors like Zuro and SX Network actually show up some volume because their prediction market volumes are kind of dominated by sports, right? And Kalshi is all sports. Like 70% of Kalshi's volumes is coming from sports right now, and that number is less than 10 or 15% for prediction market right now. This was another post by Lily Lashka, where basically he outlines at least 27 crypto prediction markets. He tested them, he outlined them, and he showcases them here. I'm going to leave these two threads by lily.hl and Mikey in my comment section below. If you want to explore more and read more about the prediction market space, you should definitely check it out alongside my tweet, of course. Okay, so there we go. Now, guys, before I reveal the 5 tokens, which I think are interesting low cap gems, they're highly risky bets, to say the least, but could do extremely well in the space. I'm going to outline my thesis for each one of them. I'm going to reveal who they are and why I think they are interesting. But before that, guys, I want to talk about something new that I'm starting. And so I recently, and guys, this is not a paid post. This is just me liking a product and talking about it, right? So I recently came across this platform called Use Backroom, right? And I have set up my own personal room, private room on Use Backroom. And what they basically do is it allows folks to create like a membership of sorts, and they create tokenized membership keys. These keys are freely tradable in the market. So basically, you can join my room for as low as, let me see what the price of my current key is. So my key is worth approximately 1,210 room tokens, which at current price is approximately $9. So at $9, you can get access to my room. And here I first post all the alpha around tokens, insights, my market commentary, anything that I am seeing and observing in the market. So if you want to support me as a creator, if you like my work, I would strongly advise you to come and explore Backroom. Simply, it's totally non-custodial. All you have to do is sign in with your wallet, and then you can go to the market page here, right here, and then just search for my room, or here I am, and you can just buy one key, right? I will link the URL to the link to my room below this video. So if you want to support me, go right ahead and join Backroom. And not just me, you can find many incredible, both popular and upcoming crypto researchers, influencers, folks working in the industry who can provide you a lot of alpha and insight. So worth exploring, guys, right? Okay, now that we have all of this out of the way, I now want to reveal the 5 tokens that I think could be interesting plays, given that prediction market is a hot, solid meta. The first one I want to talk about is UMA protocol. Now, the chart is a disaster right now, of course, and the project is trading at approximately $127 million and circulating in $180 million in FTV. We should also adjust any UMA tokens in staking right now, because they're probably part of the circulating supply, but I don't think it will make too much of a difference for this chart. This is the core infra. This is the core Oracle infra that Polymarket needs to resolve. And the larger Polymarket gets in terms of its volumes, and the more markets that it needs to resolve, the more fees UMA protocol makes. And the more fees UMA protocol makes, the greater is the reflexivity of the UMA token. So, you can see its high was almost $2 billion in 2021. Then in the 2024, the early 2024, we saw it going from like $100 million to almost 400 million. That was a 4x. It dipped again to 200 million, then rose to about 340 million and in the December cycle, and now it's trading again at 100 million. So I think this could easily give us a 4 to 6x if we do see a parabolic bull run, or it could even go to its, I don't think it will go to its all-time high cycle top, but there is massive probability that it could touch the high of $1 billion that it did in 2021. Of course, no financial advice. The truth is nobody can predict the future, but given how much Polymarket needs UMA, this surely will be part of the set of tokens that will do really well, because there is no direct way of trading Polymarket because they don't have a token right now. I do want to say that there is a rumor that I heard earlier today that Polymarket might be considering ditching UMA and maybe starting their own Oracle services, or figuring out a different or a better way of resolving the markets given Omer's concerns. But there is nothing finalized yet. I haven't heard any official confirmation from the team. So in the absence of that, I would still treat OMA as an interesting opportunity in this space. Now, the next one that I want to talk about is Predi by Virtuals. The reason I shortlisted this token is because it's part of it was launched on the Virtuals Launchpad, which is Base's AI agent launchpad, and this is the first prediction market opportunity on Base. So basically, with Predi, it's an AI agent that works on X or Twitter. You can basically call this agent by tagging its handle and ask it to create a new bet right there without leaving the X application. So it will create a bet for you, and as that bet is resolved through the AI itself resolves the bet. Right, people can basically participate. So it's a social way of running bets on X without going to a platform. The good thing about Predi is that they have a buyback program going on right now. So 25% of all the fees is going to buy back the tokens, and 50% of all the creator fees. So to create that bet, you have to pay some fees, and 50% of that is also burned. So each time that happens, the Predi token turns deflationary. And I think that's solid. There is also this added advantage that Coinbase has now integrated the Base DEXs on the main Coinbase app. So all of these tokens are now directly tradable on the Coinbase app for US audiences, guys. That's a huge underlying tailwind or driver, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, this is really cool. So Predi would be my second bet. I have covered DriftKing many times before. Now they have recently re-christened, so the new token is called Sire. So you can buy that. It's not listed on CoinGecko, but basically you can one-on-one swap one deking token to one Sire token, and the details of that is available on their Twitter homepage. But I just want to quickly talk about what DriftKing is. DriftKing is actually a very interesting experiment, right? So what they do is it's an agent which is powered by a BitTensor subnet, and that subnet is basically trained on computer vision, right? And basically on hours and hours of football or soccer footage, and using that, it can predict all through, in micro millisecond precision of what's going to happen next in a football field. And they use this, the agent uses this to make ongoing bets on various sports betting platforms. And they have this completely autonomous way of doing that. So basically, they have a vault. I can deposit $100 in that vault. Now, I don't have to worry about making predictions. The AI agent will make predictions on my behalf, guys. And I was looking at the returns, and I was astounded, like 100, 125%, 40% returns for investors who are using this autonomous agent. In fact, there is this large hedge fund which has given them $300 million, guys, to invest, and using their AI technology and autonomous investment agent to make money in sports predictions. So it's a solid alpha on DraftKings, guys. I think at 15 million, it's a pretty good project right now. Next one would be Flipper, and Flipper is also close to $15 million. and the thing with Flipper is they're basically building this DeFi abstraction layer on top of X, and it allows you to basically like participate in Polymarket and Kalshi, both prediction markets, using X without leaving the X platform. Basically, you can be on, you can browse, continue to browse on X, and basically just call the bot by tagging him and participate in any ongoing prediction market on X, on Polymarket and Kalshi. So this is also a very interesting project because it also adds leverage to the game, and that completely changes the game. So these are the four projects that I think are very, very interesting. The fifth one is, which is a bonus for you guys, is Aeon 5100. The project has kind of suffered in the last couple of, since the beginning of August. But before that, it was doing quite well. And I really don't know what happened, what changed in the middle. But this is, similar to similar to Deking, also powered by a BitTensor subnet. And it's basically AI LLMs getting themselves trained on how to make better predictions, and then they've built basically this agent which taps into the collective hive mind of these different LLMs, which are being regularly trained by miners to make better predictions. So this could be a dark horse as well, which I think is a very interesting project in the space. So that would be all the meta that I have with to share with you on on prediction markets. Once again, guys, if you want to support me, then don't forget to check out my back room. The link to signing up and buying a key is in the description below. I also want to add that I recently recorded a video on my crypto rulebook for 2025. Right, this is the exact set of principles that I've learned after burning, crazy amount of my capital in the first bull cycle in 2021 when I first joined. But back then I didn't have too much capital, but it did still hurt. And then in 2024 again, when I have burnt my hands, at which point in time I recognized that I'm doing something stupid. And so I prepared this video based on my learnings. If you would like to watch it, here is the link. I also made another video, highlighting all of the opportunities in the Sui ecosystem. I think after Solana, Sui is actually pretty hot. So if you haven't seen or explored what's new in the Sui ecosystem and which are the tokens which could really outperform in the upcoming bull cycle, and a big if there, then definitely check it out. It's right here. All right, guys, with that, I would take a wrap, and I'll see you again on Friday. Until then, sayonara. Play safe, friends.